Good evening and welcome to the Dave Ray Show. I'm your host, Dave Ray, here with President and Chief Executive Officer of the Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce, Ryan Egly. How are you, Ryan?
I'm great, Dave. Thanks for having me today.
It is great to have you on the show. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I really have. I love the Chamber and what they do. So, first question, what is the Chamber? What does the Chamber do?
Yeah, so the Chamber of Commerce is a network of businesses and local governments and local utility companies that are committed to four key tenets that we do every day, including economic development, community development, tourism marketing, and workforce development. And so we are a multi-decade-old organization. I'm actually celebrating 6 years there today, actually.
Well, congratulations.
So, yeah, it's been a really fun ride.
Wow. All right, so what do you enjoy most about your job?
Oh, so the best part about my job, really, it's the people I get to work with every day. And it's not just the team at the Chamber and the staff, and we're blessed with some of the most talented people in the industry, but it's working with the businesses every day. It's seeing their successes. It's helping them deal with struggles that collectively the business community faces. But more than anything, I get to do it for the home team. You know, being born and raised from right here in Lawrence County, getting to help drive progress and growth. It's great to see how my friends and neighbors benefit from that.
Yes, that is great. So how does the Chamber really help Lawrence County? So, you know, not necessarily from a business perspective, but from a community perspective in general. How does the Chamber help Lawrence County?
Sure. So I mentioned those four tenets that we work on day in and day out. Number one is economic development. And at the very top of our economic development strategy is it's existing businesses, whether that's small business, existing manufacturers, whatever that looks like, because we know that we are the companies that we keep. So whether that is dealing with workforce issues, whether it's helping them celebrate and promote what they're doing, again, whether they're our largest employer, which right now is Modine Manufacturing, or it's a new small business like Budget Blinds that is entering the market today, doing the ribbon cutting this morning, actually. So we help them out from that perspective, and that's one way we help Lawrence County. Now, with that said, everyone has an interest in business development. That's the whole idea behind a Chamber of Commerce. The government has an interest in business development because it provides opportunities for its citizens, which then in turn increases tax revenues so that the government doesn't have to raise taxes. Well, on the private sector side or the business side, more growth means more people, which means more customers, which means more profits. So you can see there is that's how the Chamber helps Lawrence County at large in both the private and the public sectors. But then the second part of that, you mentioned from the non-business side specifically, and sorry, I always revert to the business side of things, it's the community development. That's something that Beth Keaton and then Keely Allen in our office focus in on every day. They listen to issues, whether right now homelessness is a big issue in our community. They get people around the table to discuss, okay, here are the resources we have, here are some proposed solutions, and then here's how we're going to fix it. Another thing that we've done, and Hope McDowell with the school system, who's also housed in our office as our workforce development coordinator, listening to employers, again, about workforce issues, but also on the back end of that, homelessness, there's some other issues, substance abuse, mental health. A lot of those people end up incarcerated. So the question that Hope came back with one day was, what if we got those people to work without reduced recidivism? So we do studies, and we've worked with Sheriff Paul Thomas from Gibson County, and he's been here, and we've been there, and trying to work with our sheriff. So Sheriff Myers, and he's been a huge champion getting incarcerated persons into the workplace, which in turn we know if you have a job, you have less time to get in trouble. That's going to reduce recidivism, better for the taxpayer, better for the person, better for the community. So again, business development, everyone's interested in it. Economic development being primary, what I do day in and day out, but the Chamber plays such a huge role in the community side of things. And so I'll say this, and to the viewers out there, if you hear of an issue in Lawrence County, bring it to us. We catalog those, and then, like I said, we all get around a table. It was hard during COVID. But we get exactly. We get around the table and we talk about it, and we try to solve the problem.
Yes. Well, so you're talking about homelessness. Is there a solution that you are working on right now for homelessness in Lawrence County?
Sure. Yeah. So there's been multiple groups from the faith community, the Lawrence County Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition, members of the chamber. Our leadership has been involved heavily with the discussions, and also downtown Lawrenceburg. So Main Street, our Main Street organization, we've noticed a concentration there around the public square specifically, and so we've worked with Chief Beecham of the Lawrenceburg Police Department, the representatives of the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department as well, to talk about, okay, what are the legal mechanisms by which and through which businesses can really sustain themselves, make sure that, I guess, homeless people don't invade the business, if you will. But also, we want to do that compassionately and provide resources to those persons. So we're working on a resource guide to make sure that, okay, hey, listen, you can't come into my business and take a nap, but here are the resources, and here's where you can go if you need a help or hand up, if you will.
Wow. Okay, so there's a community guide sitting right next to you. Tell us about that. How many copies did you make? Was it 7,500?
Yes, we printed 7,500 copies of the Lawrence County, Tennessee Community Guide. This one is all about livability. Visiting, playing, and staying are the parts of this. We have a number of great advertisers, all of which are chamber members, and we wanted to highlight them. Every single company that comes and looks at Lawrence County, every existing business that hosts corporate visitors, they get copies of this. All they have to do is call us, and we'll take it to them. Every business that advertises gets a big stack of these. State Park, full of them. Square 40 Restaurant gets them every week. So we distribute the fire out of these things.
Yes.
Now, this is the third iteration of this publication. The first one was the Bicentennial Edition. The second one was all about outdoor adventure. And this one, again, is all about livability. And it is just a one-stop publication for what's going on here.
Yes.
We have stuff about workforce. We have stuff about the new college. We've got Nashville's Big Backyard.
Yes.
I can just go through here, and I can just read it for days.
No, right.
So again, viewers out there, if you have not seen this publication, give us a call, 762-4911. We'll be glad to get one to you. If you're not from Lawrence County, we're glad to mail one to you. Again, this publication is all about Lawrence County. If you're interested in moving here, living here, this is it.
And it's awesome. I've been able to look through it a lot, and it's a wonderful book, and it's produced by the chamber, which is even like that just blows my mind, because there's a lot of work that goes into that book.
Correct.
So next question, how does what does your daily schedule look like? Because this is something that I ask almost every person who comes on the show, and I'm really interested to know what your schedule looks like.
Well, it's funny, Dave. Sometimes I wake up and I don't know what's going to happen. And I'll say this, we prioritize, we triage things, right? So, for example, I may have a day scheduled out, and we may get a call from one of our economic development partners, be it the state of Tennessee or the Tennessee Valley Authority, and they may want to bring a new company in. Obviously, that wipes my schedule. But I can tell you, for example, this week, and I'll start with yesterday, met with Senator Haggerty in Fayetteville at an economic development roundtable. That's part of our mission, is advocacy and making sure we have those good relationships with our elected leaders. This morning we had a ribbon cutting. I mentioned earlier budget blinds.
Yes.
So ribbon cuttings, chamber coffees, networking events. But really, it's hard to say day to day. I know this coming Friday, for example, President Randy Boyd with UT is going to be coming in, making a stop as part of his Everywhere UT tour.
Yes.
We'll then turn around. We've got an existing industry issue that we're meeting with a number of stakeholders about right after that. And then I'll head to Nashville, where I'll go and talk with some new students entering the Leadership and Public Service program through Lipscomb University. So again, that's just kind of this week in a synopsis. But also I have to say, a lot of it is geeky work. It's nerdy work. I look at numbers a lot. A lot of those are at the bequest of a business that needs information. So we do a lot of research in my office, and my project manager, Ben Barnett, he is becoming a data nerd very quickly, like I am, especially since the census numbers came out. So day to day, it's hard to really say, Dave. But again, glad to be here today with you.
Yes.
So that's part of my day.
It's been a long time making, for sure. So you mentioned the census. So how do the numbers reflect what's going on right now in Lawrence County?
Yes. So I'll say this. We did the census in 2020, which 2020 was a pandemic year.
Yes.
Made it a little bit more difficult to get the response that we wanted. We do think we had solid response rates. I had a few local leaders. We were kind of messing around, placing bets, if you will, on where we'd get. And everyone was thinking we'd be above the 50,000 person in population. again, I like to look at various polls and other estimates, and I noticed a lot of those started coming back a little bit more conservatively, thinking more about maybe like a 2,000 to 3,000 person increase, which is a 5.5% population increase. Still very significant, don't get me wrong. At that point, I realized, okay, maybe we were a little bit too overexcited. With that said, we had a 5.5% increase. We added about 2,200 people.
That's sustainable growth.
Correct. And that's right. So we wanted somewhere between 4 and 6%. We got the top end of that. That's sustainable and healthy growth. That gives us a chance as a community, especially on the community development side, to be more thoughtful about it. There are surrounding counties that are exceeding 20% growth, Murray County being who I'm referring to there. That's explosive growth. And it is a great thing for us. But I'll say that you asked about how are those data figures reflecting what's happening now. Right now, what we are seeing is an increase and an influx in people moving to Lawrence County. We're also seeing a lot of people, maybe they're just out of college, or maybe they've been off for a while, they're having young families, they're moving back home to be closer to home. So we're seeing that in-migration. So I'll say that to say this, I think the next 5 years, we may match how we grew over the past 10 years. Wow. So that should, in the 2030 census, which I can't believe I just said that, that's 9 years out from now, right. I think we'll be closer to that 10 to 12% growth rate. That, in theory, will get us above the 50,000 mark, which then helps us with other things, like more wide-scale housing development, which inventory is an issue for us. That's one barrier to our growth and people moving in. It's also that once we exceed that 50,000, that puts us on different metrics for different retailers. So above anything, we just want to be a place of opportunity. Yes. We want to be a place of good quality of life. We want to preserve what we have here. Again, no one's ever offered me a better value proposition to leave Lawrence County. It's the best place on earth.
It is.
And people are finding out about Lawrence County, and it's a good thing.
So you're talking about opportunity. Correct. Let's talk about job availability. Excuse me. Let me rephrase that. Let's talk about job availability.
Yes.
In Lawrence County, what does that look like?
So right now, if anyone wants to work, you pick your industry sector. Now, what's interesting over the past year especially is we've seen people jump from hospitality to manufacturing, from healthcare to hospitality, because of the availability, and there has been an increase in wages. Now, that comes with quite a few issues. For example, the compression of profit margins, for example, being the primary one for our manufacturing base. But of course, you asked about job availability. If you are a entry-level recent college grad, there is a place for you here in Lawrence County, whether it's healthcare, manufacturing, finance, or if you want to be a freelancer or work remotely. If you are an experienced worker that wants to make a career change, you can work in logistics, you can go back to school, especially with Tennessee Reconnect and those types of opportunities. Yes. If you wanted to go and be a registered nurse, for example, and be on the front lines like all those heroes are right now, especially as COVID is spiking again. So again, I say that to say this, by the numbers, our unemployment rate is actually higher than the rest of the region, about 5.5%, 5.6% is where we're landing. However, that's almost full employment. And our neighbors to the south in North Alabama, for example, they're hovering in the 2.5% to 3% unemployment rate range.
Wow.
But the key is sustainability. I don't like looking at the current unemployment rates because that's a month-by-month metric. I like looking at the past 3-year average, and what's awesome about Lawrence County is that we lead the state in the fastest improving 3-year average unemployment rate. We have 5.5%, best in the state of Tennessee of the 95 counties.
Wow.
So what we're doing is working. It's a united front with our local government. It's great talent at the chamber, and again, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the staff there. Listen,
it's true.
Beth, Keely, Gwen, Ben, Hope, Emma, rock stars.
Yes.
And the ability for our business community to rally under them, for us to listen to the business community and then act on that, it's helpful. And so job opportunities are abounding because we've done a great job. And not just as a chamber, but as a community. And everyone sees it and they feel it. I hope you feel it.
Yes. Oh, I do. Very strongly. Talking about Beth, we are so sad. I hope this has already been announced, but she is retiring here soon, and hopefully we're going to have her and Keely on the show. And if they weren't coming before, they are now. So, but anyways, Beth does an exceptional job. She was part of the Leadership Lawrence group. I say part of, in charge of the leadership group that I had the privilege to be a part of, and it's great. So, Talking about programs a little
Yes.
bit, what type of programs does the Chamber offer, not only just to community members, but to businesses?
Sure. So I mentioned networking. That's one of our biggest things. We also have our signature events. We've got our professional development. And we're trying to rebrand everything under a very, I guess, easily repeatable phrase. So we connect, we lead, and we grow. So I mentioned connecting. There's some things under there, like our chamber coffees, our ribbon cutting events, our signature events, like our golf tournament, our annual membership meeting, the Christmas parade being one of those things as well.
Big community event.
Correct. Where the community can come and really connect with each other. Businesses can connect with each other. The public can connect with businesses. That's the idea of connection.
Right.
So you'll start seeing things like Connect Law Co. out there. Lead is something else, as I mentioned earlier, maintaining good relationships with our local, state, and federal elected leaders, but also developing the next generation of leaders. So Leadership Lawrence is a program you alluded to. Beth and Keeley actually just kicked that program off last week.
Wow.
We have a great class this year. It is a 9-session program that is really bent on informing people, mostly business leaders, but anyone can go through Leadership Lawrence, of here's what's going on in Lawrence County. Here's what we're doing well, here's what we can do better at, and here's some issues that are facing us or will be facing us. We're also injecting some professional development components, such as public speaking, or what's the next step for you and your leadership specifically. And so again, it's 9 sessions plus a really, it's a 10th session, a really great graduation event that we put on. And then, of course, part of leadership also is more than just professional development, but like I mentioned, advocacy. And then grow. Connect, lead, grow. Grow is all about what we can do to help support your business, whether that's get you connected with local resources, state resources, federal resources, whether that's lunch and learn seminars, communication and marketing. So we have e-blast programs, for example, that as a chamber member, you're entitled to so many of those each year so that we can make sure that everyone knows what's going on in your business. Most of the time, for example, restaurants really like to send us their holiday catering menus. So looking at our restaurants out there, make sure you send us your holiday catering menus because our businesses love Christmas parties.
They do.
So
They do.
that's something we're about to start probably getting scheduled up, and because it's around the corner.
Wow. So, you talked a little bit about, let me rephrase that. You talked a little bit about Leadership Lawrence.
Yes.
So, in general, I have to say I'm probably the biggest advocate for Leadership Lawrence there is, and I just love Leadership Lawrence. It was exceptional. So, not only is there an adult portion, but there's also a youth portion. So, tell us about the youth portion, because I know those signups for the youth are still going on until
Correct.
September 1st, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's right. So historically, youth leadership and adult leadership has been together. That had great benefits. What we found was, and we're hearing this not just from the internal Leadership Lawrence people that are talking about it, but out in the business community, we need to just instill basic leadership principles in our students. On top of that, we noticed that through COVID times, it was a little bit harder to coordinate calendars just because maybe one school may be quarantined, or maybe this team may be doing this, and while businesses and the adults may be needing to do this. So this year we separated them. That also, by doing so, gives us a greater opportunity to impact more students.
Yes.
So we're going all through high schools, and also the homeschool organizations. We will be taking applications until September 1st. Hope McDowell was leading that charge in our office because it is a vital part of workforce development. And our students will be experiencing many of the same things that the adults will be experiencing. Hopefully we'll be able to do industry tours, some professional development. And what I'm most excited about is getting the feedback from that age group about where do they want to see Lawrence County in 10, 20, or 50 years. At the end of the day, this is our community. And so the Chamber's job in really doing this is to make sure we go around and we have intentional conversations about, okay, what does a Lawrence County of the future look like? And then also, how are we going to get there? So that's what youth leadership's all about. We're excited to kick it off. We're excited to see who applies. If you haven't applied, email hope@lawcotn.com. Give us a call again at the Chamber. We'll get you pointed in the right direction. Your guidance counselors at your school should have some information as well. So if you have a child or maybe an employee that needs to go through it, we'll be glad to host them.
And again, Leadership Lawrence is great. If you've not been through it, it's a must for Lawrence County.
Absolutely.
It is a must. So we will be right back after this quick commercial break.
Are you in need of lighting for your home or business? Stop in today at Industrial LED Lighting located at 319 Jerry Street in Lawrenceburg. Industrial LED Lighting is the one-stop shop for all your lighting needs. Not sure how to light your facility? Contact us for your free consultation and let us work with you until your lighting project is complete. Are you an online shopper? Don't worry, Industrial LED Lighting has you covered through our new online store, easily accessible at www.myindustrialled.com. At Industrial LED Lighting, we are the light.
Ray's Produce and More is a family-owned and operated produce house located at the west end of Lawrence County, Tennessee. Ray's Produce offers a large selection of fresh and local produce and much more. Headed to Laurel Hill Lake, we offer a great selection of fishing bait and live worms too. Stop in Monday through Saturday from 9:30 to 5:30 for exceptional customer service and even better produce. Visit us at 42 Chisholm Crossing, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, or give us a call at 931-629-0717. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook too.
And we're back right here on the Dave Ray Show with Ryan Egly, President and CEO of the Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce. So, next question. What is economic development? I know this is your favorite thing to talk about.
Absolutely.
What is economic development, and why is it vital to Lawrence County in general?
Sure. So that's a very big question, and so I'm going to answer it in the same way that when I go and talk to maybe middle schoolers or high schoolers, because it's best to frame it in this way. When I say the word economy, what word comes to mind?
Financials.
Okay, so money.
Yes.
Okay, yes, exactly. When I say develop, what comes to mind?
Build things.
Build things. Okay, so economic development, and by the way, we did not rehearse this, so he's
No.
doing a great job.
Yes.
Economic development is literally the building of money, okay? The idea is building money in a community. So your question is, why is that important? Well, and I'm going to quote former Governor Bill Haslam here. He said, or he says, jobs are created when capital is put at risk. So me as an economic developer, my job is to attract investments to our community, because when those investments come, jobs come. Now, that begs the question, why are jobs important? Well, jobs are important because, number one, incomes. People need a way to make a living. They need a way to support their families. They need a way to support their churches. They need a way to, if you're like me and like to fish, you know, like, and have hobbies, like buy a boat, you know, that type of thing, go on vacation, to unplug, like that all takes money. And so economic development is done in multiple different ways. It's different in every single community. Some communities have specific target markets, ours being manufacturing. And this is a good opportunity to kind of tell you what we're seeing, because most people, when they think about capital investments, they think about the new companies coming to town. But most new job creation announcements, specifically, about more than 75% actually, come from existing businesses because they're reinvesting in their businesses. Well, that's important, number one, because I mentioned fishing. Those companies are here. They're already on the hook.
Yes.
They're already investing in the buildings they're in, the people that they employ, the communities that they exist in. But new business is also a part of that. And so there's been a number of recent announcements, especially over the past 5 years, and then specific also to the automotive sector. So like Mazda Toyota in Limestone County, so Huntsville area, that's a new OEM, automotive assembly plant, projecting to create more than 4,000, actually maybe more than 5,000 jobs.
Wow.
A recent study says that they're talking about 25,000 jobs is what the spinoff will be from that initial investment. Then you also have to look at what's happening up the road in Spring Hill with General Motors, and of course the most recent announcement of Ultium Cells. They are electric vehicle battery related, and so what we're seeing now is the entire creation of a supply chain for electric vehicle manufacturing in the United States. And so as far as new business goes, that would be considered one of Lawrence County's targets. It would be great to land one of these suppliers to one of these, while also supporting existing businesses as they pivot to the EV revolution, if you will. When I say EV, I'm talking about electric vehicles. That also begs some other questions about economic development. Can we support, from an infrastructure perspective, the adoption of electric vehicles like at our residence, for example?
Right.
Picture this: there are 18,500 homes in Lawrence County. If every single one of them gets an electric vehicle and plugs in every night, can our grid support it? Well, luckily we have partners like Lawrenceburg Utility Systems where unequivocally we can support it.
That's awesome to hear too.
oh,
I didn't know there were so many houses in Lawrence County. That's awesome.
No, it really is. But it's a reality that now we as economic developers are dealing with, because now if our capacity is taken offline for residential use because of the adoption of EV, can we support new businesses? And again, we have very strong partnerships with the Tennessee Valley Authority. Lawrence County is leaps and bounds ahead of other communities, especially around the nation, definitely in the Valley when it comes to partnerships with our local power company. So, and again, I know I went down a rabbit trail with what is economic development, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about new investments.
Exactly.
And it changes too. 6 years ago, it was just industrial manufacturing, and today we're as interested in recruiting 50 workers that work remotely for companies around the world to live here as we are the 500 job manufacturing operation, because we know a diverse economy is a resilient economy.
That's right. That's right. So you talk about retention a lot. That's the correct word, hopefully I'm using. So part of economic development is your workforce, and retaining that workforce here, especially that comes out of Lawrence County school systems.
Yes.
So what kind of workforce development programs do you work with the school system and kind of collaborate and offer our students in Lawrence County?
Sure. So we have a three-pronged approach, and this three-pronged approach is led by Hope McDowell. And you should know, about 2 years ago, we sat in a room, number of community leaders and school system leaders. State of Tennessee came in, facilitated a conversation, and said, okay, what does Lawrence County's next workforce need? And it just came out that we needed someone that was working every single day on it. And thus, the Workforce Development Coordinator position was born. Hope was already working as part-time CTE, which is Career Technical Education Program Coordinator, and she was just the perfect fit for the position. It was a partnership between Lawrence County government, Lawrence County schools, the chamber, and then last but not least, one of our greatest partners in Lawrence County, the Lawrence County Education Foundation. So she's housed at the chamber. She's technically a school system employee. And so therefore, she brings the industry perspective now that she's out into businesses and working economic development projects with us. She takes that perspective and gives it to the school system. But when we're talking to businesses, she's also able to provide real-time, here's what's happening in our schools with them as well. But I mentioned that three-prong approach. We want to build talent, which is our schools and traditional workforce development educational initiatives such as higher ed, dual enrollment, the Southern Tennessee Higher Education Campus. We also want to attract it. That's our livability. So as mentioned in our magazine, and also Nashville's Big Backyard, that's the effort to recruit people to live in our community, and that grows our workforce. But then lastly, it's Reengaging. Lawrence County has just under 45,000 people. Our workforce locally is just over 19,000. Now, that's not bad. In fact, it's pretty good considering labor force participation. 25% of our population is retirement age. 25% is adolescent or below, so children, if you will. It's the working age, the 18 to 65, that make up 50%. Wow. So when you think about that, 45,000 divided by 2, and I'm doing math on an interview now, but just over 20,000. We're missing about 3,000 people is what I'm getting at.
Wow.
So, Reengaging that 3,000 people into the workforce is very important for us, and that looks like working on judicial issues, like we're working with Sheriff Myers on, with the work release programs, making sure that incarcerated persons have a job upon their release and therefore have hope. It's also talking very candidly about mental health issues in our community and homelessness, trying to make sure we get the right services in the right places for them, that maybe one day they'll be able to attain employment. But then it's also entrepreneurship. There are a number of small business owners in Lawrence County that it's a little bit harder to count them in the workforce. Well, just by identifying them as entrepreneurs, we may be able to cut that 3,000 after we take out the incarcerated population and mentally ill population and entrepreneurs. We may not be missing that much. Now, that's not to say like we're done, because we still want to attract people to work. The good news is we are at a 20-year high as far as labor force population. And so workforce development is everything. We win new business. People are able to make more investments, the more people that they have able to work, and that we can demonstrate that we have able to work. Wow. And without that, it traps capital. And if you can't reinvest the capital, no jobs are created. And if no jobs are created, well, what are our students going to do when they graduate?
Right.
So I know that's very cyclical what I just said,
hey.
But it is. It's just a cycle.
Right. So I feel like I'm hitting every point that the Chamber has to offer. But anyways, tourism. Let's talk about tourism.
Sure, yeah.
So how many people come into Lawrence County every year based on tourism, or do you know that number right off the top of your head?
Yes. So we actually, 2 weeks ago, we had a discussion with the State Department of Tourist Development. They released the economic impact numbers for 2020. Admittedly, very dismal numbers, not unexpected. We saw about a 20% decline in tourist expenditures from the previous year. That affects a number of things, including local and state sales tax specifically. The good news is everyone shopped local last year, and we more than made up for that deficiency from the hospitality sector.
Wow.
So we're at a net gain. So when tourism starts picking back up, we should have an even greater gain.
Wow.
And that's really good news. But as far as people visiting and experiencing our community, we have I have all these approaches, right? Like workforce is 3. Tourism, we have a 5-prong approach. We market our attractions. Number 1, David Crockett State Park. Great partners, bring in hundreds of thousands of people, more people than you could ever imagine come to our state park.
Wow.
One of the best in the state of Tennessee, if not the best in the state of Tennessee. Tennessee's Amish country. Much harder to attract people that go there. Most things are tracked today in the industry via credit card usage, traffic counters, check-ins on social media. Well, it's a little bit harder to market the Amish for obvious reasons.
Oh, right.
But that's a huge tourist attraction for us, and they've seen their business boom through COVID because people are getting back to the land, wanting organic foods, Amish-built things. So, again, state park, Amish country. Outdoor adventure tourism is another one of our tenets that we focus on. Canoe runs, Laurel Hill Wildlife Management Agency. Oh my goodness. There's just so much with outdoor adventure tourism. Wheeling in the country is a big part of that, as well as is all things motorsports. Fourth tenet would be lifestyle experiences, and those are things that you can only get in Lawrence County. You know, everyone wants to know when we're getting the Cracker Barrel, when we're getting the next big box chain restaurant. Well, number 1, those restaurants are not expanding anymore. They're trying to regain their footing in a post-COVID world like other businesses are. But the truth of the matter is, when I go out to other communities, I don't want to go to the chain restaurant. I want to go to something that's special that I can only eat or find in that. I said eat because I'm a restaurant guy, obviously.
Me too.
Yeah, but the idea is, what are the experiences that we only have here in Lawrence County? Those are things like can be found on Main Street.
Right.
Whether you're in Loretto or Lawrenceburg or downtown Etheridge or St. Joe or wherever that is, these unique little downtowns and shops that only exist there. So lifestyle experiences is another big part of that. And then lastly, annual events. Now you should know the Chamber is not an events organization. We don't put on the fair. That's Rotary and I guess the partnering civic organizations that support that. Because that really does take a village.
Yes.
We don't do the Abigail's Playing Bulls and Barrels. We don't put on sports tournaments and baseball tournaments that frequent all of our ball fields. But we know those are big tourism drivers. So I say that to say this. If you're an event organizer and need support or help marketing, we're glad to help. That's part of our job as a tourism marketing organization, because that brings in so much. to our community. So those are the 5 tenets that tourism marketing that we all do. And so be on the lookout this fall. We're actually launching a brand new tourism brand specific to our community that will help us fine tune kind of those approaches and tell the story a little bit better. And we're so excited about it.
And I cannot wait to see the brand. I think I had a little bit of input somewhere down the line at some point. But anyways, last question. This is the question. This is a hot topic question. Ryan knows it's coming because he knows me too well. But are we getting a Chick-fil-A?
Well, so as I mentioned a little bit ago, I love the restaurants we have, and here's the truth: in Lawrence County, everyone likes chicken nuggets and Mexican food. That's just who we are. And so I say that to say this: if you're out there and you're watching this and you believe that we can use another restaurant and it would be profitable, I would challenge you: be an entrepreneur and invest in it and start it. Now, I can tell you more than likely the person that brings Chick-fil-A to market, they're going to be very pleased with the results and the profitability of their business, especially as fast as we're growing. I think we'll have more serious looks and more success in the retail realm right after we see some more housing development, and then once our population crosses that 50,000 mark sometime this decade.
Wow. Well, anyways, I just had to ask that question because it's important to me. But anyways, is there anything you want to add that I may have not covered? Because there's a lot to talk about.
Man, I've just got to say, it's such a good time to be involved with the Chamber of Commerce in Lawrence County. We're growing. Our membership is growing. It's up. Our spheres of influence are growing. We're very proud of that. But Beth would not be happy with me if I didn't give a plug for the Christmas parade. So if you are a church or a civic organization or a business and want to be involved in this year's Christmas parade, of course, it's in December, but sign-up's in November 22nd. So get on lawcotn.com, sign up today. Give us a call. We can help you walk through that process. We need floats. This year, the theme is Journey to the North Pole.
Oh,
we're going.
Great.
Sponsored by Loretta Telecom. We are so excited about the Christmas parade. So, again, that's very specific.
Yes.
But again, if you ever have any questions about the Chamber of Commerce, we are glad to tell you more. Again, call us, 762-4911. Stop in. We're on the top of City Hall, downtown Lawrenceburg, in the Lawrenceburg Municipal Complex, or visit our website at www.lawcotn.com.
And I have to plug one more thing: the ambassadors. We don't have to talk about this forever, but I have the privilege of being an ambassador.
Absolutely.
After Leadership Lawrence. That kind of pushed me into that. So you're stuck with me for a little while, I guess. But anyways, ambassadors do an exceptional job. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about everybody else. I'm excluding myself. But being an ambassador is so much fun.
Yes.
You're really plugging the chamber and what the chamber does. I'm pretty sure ambassadors, we just went through training, so I'm sure they can answer any questions about the chamber too. So if you know a chamber ambassador, you may not want to go to the chamber. You may just want to ask them because they may have an idea, and if they don't have an idea, they'll direct you in the right way.
That's right. We love our ambassadors. They're a great group of people. They are our welcome wagon for the county. And
I like that name.
And don't let Dave fool you. He does a great job.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And hopefully in a couple of months, we'll have you back on to keep us updated about these numbers.
Absolutely.
And hopefully as COVID slows back down, hopefully that will continue to slow down. We can see an increase in tourism and all these other numbers, the data.
Yep.
And anyways, but thank you so much for coming on the
Thanks,
show.
Dave.
It's great to have
Appreciate
you.
you.
Tune in next Friday, Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.